What would you do if on the happiest day of your life, you overheard your own children wishing for your death? This is the heartbreaking story of Mr. and Mrs. Williams, a couple whose golden birthday celebration turned into the most painful evening of their long lives. Golden lights twinkled across the wide garden of the Williams family mansion in Lagos. Today was no ordinary celebration. Mr. Williams, a strong yet gentle man, had just turned 90 years old, and his beloved wife, Clara, was 85. After 60 years of marriage, they were still each other's best friend. Their lives told a story of hard work, wisdom, and blessings. They were known across the city as one of the most generous and wealthy couples, people who helped strangers and gave to the poor without counting the cost. Friends, business partners, church elders, and neighbors had all come to celebrate them. Rows of white tables glittered with crystal glasses. Musicians played soft jazz, and the air smelled of roasted chicken and freshly baked bread. At the center of the grand hall stood a towering white cake, 5 layers tall and wrapped with real red roses. "Tonight we honor a rare love," the master of ceremonies said with a smile. "A love that has lasted through storms and sunshine." The guests clapped and cheered. Clara squeezed her husband's hand. "Can you believe it, Emmanuel?" 90 years, she whispered. He smiled back, his wrinkled eyes shining. "And every one of them sweeter with you." Yet, beneath their smiles, both of them kept glancing around the hall. They were looking for 2 people who mattered more than anyone else, their only son, Michael, and their only daughter, Deborah. "Where could they be?" Clara asked quietly. "They promised they would not be late." "They will come," Emmanuel said, trying to sound sure, but a small knot of worry tightened in his chest. The guests began to chant for the cake to be cut. "Birthday cake! Birthday cake!" The band played a cheerful tune, but the couple still could not find their children. "Let's take a little walk," Emmanuel suggested. "Perhaps they are in the garden." Clara nodded. Hand in hand, the old couple slipped through the side door, leaving the music and laughter behind. The night air was cool and sweet. Small fairy lights lined the garden paths, and the soft fragrance of lilies floated around them. They followed the sound of low voices coming from the far end of the garden. At first it sounded like an ordinary conversation. Then the words became clear. "Why are these old people still alive?" a man's voice said sharply. It was Michael. Clara stopped mid-step, her heart thudding. "I don't know," a woman's voice replied, carrying a note of anger. "Deborah, it's like they refuse to die." "I'm tired of waiting." Emmanuel felt his stomach turn. He held Clara's hand tighter. "Exactly," Michael said, his voice hard. "All that wealth is just sitting there. We should be running the company by now. But no, they keep spending it as if they will live forever." "They should just go and meet their ancestors," Deborah added bitterly. "I want my share of the houses and the businesses." "Why keep us waiting? These people are so wicked. I hate them for it." Clara's knees weakened. She pressed a hand to her mouth to stop a gasp. The children she had carried in her womb, the ones she had nursed through sickness and prayed for every night, wishing her dead. Emmanuel's chest tightened like a fist. Memories rushed through his mind, the nights he worked late to pay their school fees, the trips he cancelled so he could watch their school plays, the tears he wiped away when they were little. And this was what they had become. "I can't wait for the day they finally die," Michael said coldly. "Then everything will be ours." "Yes," Deborah replied, her voice a whisper of ice. "The sooner the better." The words cut deeper than any knife. Emmanuel felt a hot sting behind his eyes. He had faced business rivals and storms of life, but nothing had ever hurt like this. Clara trembled. Tears blurred her sight. She leaned against her husband, her heart breaking. They stood hidden behind the hedge, too shocked to move, listening as their children continued to speak of their deaths, as though discussing the weather. Emmanuel took a slow breath, his mind spinning. Should they step out and confront them? Should they remain silent? Every sentence from their children sank like a heavy stone in his soul. He reached for Clara's trembling hand. "Let's go back inside," he whispered, his voice tight with pain. Clara could barely nod. Together they turned away from the cruel voices and walked slowly toward the lights of the house. The laughter and music of their guests drifted toward them, but it no longer sounded like music. It felt like a distant echo from another world. Their golden birthday night had just been pierced by the darkest truth. The music grew louder as Mr. and Mrs. Williams stepped back into the grand hall, but the joy that had once warmed their hearts felt like it belonged to someone else. People clapped when they saw the couple return, unaware of the storm inside them. "Here they are," the master of ceremonies cheered. "Now we can cut the cake." Clara forced a smile. Emmanuel nodded politely, his arm steadying her trembling body. They held the knife together and everyone sang, "Happy birthday to you." The hall glowed with camera flashes, but to the old couple the lights felt harsh and cold. When they tasted the cake, the sweetness turned to dust in their mouths. After the last guest left and the big house fell quiet, the couple sat side by side in their private sitting room. The chandeliers above them shone like 1,000 tiny stars, yet their hearts felt heavy and dark. Clara broke the silence first. "Emmanuel, did you hear everything?" Her voice cracked. He closed his eyes and nodded slowly. "Our own children," she whispered, tears spilling down her cheeks. "The ones we prayed for, the ones we worked for, wishing us dead." Emmanuel's face tightened. "I built this empire so that Michael and Deborah would never struggle. I thought love and sacrifice would teach them gratitude." His voice shook. "But what have we raised?" Clara wiped her eyes with a lace handkerchief. "Where did we go wrong?" Emmanuel took her hand. "We did not fail, Clara. We gave them love. We gave them everything. What they choose to become is not our sin." Still, the wound cut deep. For hours they sat in silence. The next morning the sun shone bright over the big Williams house. Mr. Emmanuel and his wife Clara sat in the garden. They had not slept all night. The hurtful words they heard from their own children still stayed in their hearts. The small gate opened. Michael and Deborah walked in. They did not live in the mansion. They came from their own homes, smiling as if nothing was wrong. "Good morning, Mum." "Good morning, Dad," Deborah said with a bright voice. "Morning," Michael added. "Did you enjoy the party?" Clara looked at their faces. She had once kissed those faces when they were small. Now her heart ached. Emmanuel's eyes stayed on them. His voice was calm but serious. "Sit down," he said. Their smiles faded. They looked at each other, then sat on the stone bench across from their parents. Emmanuel folded his hands. "Before we cut the cake last night," he said slowly, "your mother and I looked for you. We could not find you anywhere." Michael cleared his throat. "Dad, we are sorry," he said quickly. "My wife suddenly got sick. We took her to the hospital. We left quietly so we would not disturb the party." Deborah nodded fast. "Yes, Mum. We stayed outside until the doctor called. We did not want people to worry." Clara held her handkerchief tight. "Is she better now?" she asked softly. Michael paused. "Yes, the doctor says it was nothing serious." Emmanuel leaned back, his eyes still fixed on them. "I see," he said slowly. Deborah forced a small smile. "We are very sorry we missed the cake. I hope everything went well." "Yes," Clara said quietly. The cake was cut. The garden grew silent. Emmanuel spoke again, his voice low but firm. "There is more we must talk about," he said, "but first, let us eat breakfast." Clara stood up and walked toward the terrace. Her heart was heavy. Emmanuel followed her, both of them keeping the painful truth inside. A week later, Emmanuel died. The pain from what he heard on his birthday was too much for his old heart. Clara cried through the night. Family, friends, and neighbors came to comfort her. Instead of feeling sad, Michael and Deborah stood at a corner of the garden and spoke in low voices. Michael said, "One is gone. If that woman does not go on time, we will send her to join her husband." Deborah nodded. "Yes, we must get everything quickly." They did not know someone was near. The old couple's loyal maid, Abada, was behind the hedge with a tray of drinks. She stopped when she heard their words. Her hands shook. She could not believe what she had just heard. Abada stayed quiet, hidden in the shadow, her heart heavy with shock and fear. She listened again, hoping she had heard wrong. But Michael's voice came clear. "We must act fast," he said. "Mother cannot live long. The doctors already say she is weak. When she is gone, the company and the houses will all be ours." Deborah answered, "Yes. We will not wait another year. I will speak to the lawyer soon." Once she is gone, we take everything. Abada's heart pounded. These were the same children Madame Clara loved so much. They were speaking of their mother as if she was only a door to riches. She turned and hurried back toward the house, her steps light and quiet. In the kitchen, she put the tray down and covered her face with her hands. Tears filled her eyes. She had worked for this family for 20 years. She knew how Mr. and Mrs. Williams had struggled to raise Michael and Deborah. She had watched them give love, pay school fees, and help the children start their own lives. Now the father was gone, and the mother was still weeping, and the children were planning for her death. Abada wiped her eyes. She knew she had to stay close to Madame Clara. She would not let harm come to her. Later that evening, Clara sat alone in her room. Her quiet sobs filled the room. Abada entered softly and placed a cup of warm tea on the table. "Mama," she said gently, "please drink a little." Clara looked up, her eyes red. "Thank you, Abada. My heart is broken. I have lost my husband." I do not know how to go on. Abada wanted to tell her what she had heard, but she held back. She knew Clara was already weak with sorrow. Instead, she said, "You are not alone, Mama. I am here with you." Clara nodded slowly and took the cup. Abada stayed by her side, praying silently for strength and for wisdom to protect her mistress from the danger that even now was hiding inside her own family. Michael and Deborah went to the family lawyer's office the next morning. They wore serious faces and spoke quickly. "Good morning, sir," Michael said. "We came to discuss our father's will. We want to know when we can take charge of the company and the houses." The lawyer looked at them with surprise. "I am sorry," he said slowly. "Your father left nothing for you. In his will, he gave all his wealth to an orphanage he founded many years ago." "What?" Deborah shouted. "That cannot be true." Michael stood up. "How dare he? We are his children." The lawyer kept his voice calm. "I am only telling you what is written and signed by your father himself. The orphanage will receive everything. I am sorry." Michael and Deborah stormed out of the office, their faces dark with anger. When they reached their mother's house, they did not greet her. They walked straight into the living room where Madame Clara sat. Michael shouted, "How could you let your foolish old husband do this to us?" Deborah added, "He left nothing for us. He is heartless." Madame Clara looked at them with wide, tired eyes. "Your father was buried only a few days ago," she said, "and this is what you have come to talk about?" Michael's voice rose. "Yes, because he gave all his money to strangers and left us with nothing." Clara's eyes filled with tears. "You both are wicked," she said. "Your father loved you. He worked for you, and now, instead of mourning him, you only want his property." Deborah shouted, "He should have thought about his own children first." Clara's voice shook. "Your father's heart was big. He wanted to help the poor. That is why he built the orphanage. And you, his own children, cannot even cry for him. You think only of money. You did not even mourn him." Her tears rolled down her cheeks. "May God forgive you," she whispered. "You have lost more than riches. You have lost your own hearts." 2 days later, Michael and Deborah returned to the mansion. It was late afternoon. Clara sat alone in the big living room. The house, once full of life, now felt like an empty shell. Abada, the loyal maid, had gone to the kitchen to prepare evening tea. The sound of the front door opening broke the silence. Michael and Deborah walked in without greeting. Clara looked up slowly. "My children," she said softly, "you came back." Michael did not sit. "Mother," he said, "we came to tell you our decision." Clara frowned. "Decision about what?" Deborah stepped forward. "We want to take you to an old people's home. We cannot keep this big house and all the workers. Father left nothing for us. Everything went to the orphanage. We cannot afford to maintain this mansion." Clara frowned. "What are you saying?" "This is my home. Your father built this house for us. Please, my children, do not send me away." Michael shook his head. "Mother, you must go. We have already made the plan. It is too expensive to keep this house and pay the staff." Clara's eyes filled with tears. "Please, I beg you. Your father's grave is still fresh. Let me stay in the home we built together. Do not drive me out." Deborah folded her arms. "We have decided. We cannot change it. You will be comfortable in the home. They will take care of you there." Clara wept. I have lost my husband only days ago. My heart is still bleeding, and now you want to send me away. My own children? Michael spoke again, his voice cold. Mother, you must understand. We cannot carry this burden. The house is too big and the bills are too high. The sooner we sell it, the better. Clara bowed her head and cried. Her sobs echoed through the empty hall, but her children stood like stones, their faces hard. Finally, Michael said, Pack only what you need. We will come for you soon. Without waiting for her reply, he turned toward the door. Deborah followed. Their footsteps faded down the long corridor until the front door closed with a heavy sound. For a long time, Clara remained where she sat. The house that once rang with music and laughter now felt like a silent stranger. She looked around at the tall windows, the golden curtains, the grand portraits of her and Emmanuel taken in happier years. Memories of family dinners, Christmas mornings, and birthday songs came rushing back. Now those same walls would soon belong to strangers. She whispered through her tears, Emmanuel, my husband, do you see what is happening? Your children are sending me away from our own home. Her voice broke and the room swallowed her cry. Later that evening, Michael and Deborah went to the servants' quarters. Abada was there sweeping the small corridor. Michael said, Abada, we need to talk to you. Our mother will not be living in this mansion any longer. We are selling the house. All the other maids are gone. You must leave too. Abada looked at them. Sir, madam, she said quietly, I cannot leave Mama Clara. I will stay with her until the Lord calls her home. Deborah's face hardened. You heard what we said. We are selling this house. When she goes to the old people's home, there will be no reason for you to remain here. Abada lifted her chin. I will stay with Mama. She needs someone to care for her. I will not leave her alone. Michael frowned. Do as you please, but you will not be paid when the house is sold. Abada said, I am not here for wages. I will stay because of love and respect. Deborah's eyes narrowed. Just wait for us, she said coldly. We will deal with you soon. The two of them turned and walked away, leaving Abada standing in the quiet corridor, her heart heavy with fear for the woman who had already lost so much and now faced being cast out by her own children. 2 days later, Michael drove into the mansion alone. It was late in the afternoon. Abada was in the kitchen washing the last of the breakfast plates. Madame Clara sat in the sitting room, weak from many nights of crying. Michael pushed open the kitchen door. His face was hard. Abada, he said sharply, pack your things. You are leaving this house today. Abada turned quickly. Sir, please, she said, her voice shaking. I don't care about the salary anymore. Please let me stay here with Mama Clara. She has no one else. Please, Sir Michael stepped closer. I said pack your things. This house will soon be sold. My mother will not need a maid. Leave before I call the guards. Abada dropped the wet plate into the sink. Sir, I beg you, she pleaded, let me stay. I will work without pay. Mama Clara is still mourning. She needs someone to care for her. Please do not send me away. Michael's eyes were cold. Enough. Get out. Take only what belongs to you. Tears ran down Abada's cheeks. Sir, for the sake of the years I have served this family, for the love I have for Mama Clara, please allow me to stay. I will sleep in the servants' quarters. I will eat little. I will not be a burden. But Michael grabbed her small bag and pushed it into her hands. Leave now. Abada stood for a moment, heartbroken. She looked toward the sitting room where Madame Clara sat. Mama, she called softly, but her voice cracked. Clara struggled to rise, but before she could reach the door, Michael blocked her way. Do not step out, he said to his mother. Abada is leaving. From today, you will live as you deserve. Clara's eyes widened. Michael, what are you doing? She is like a daughter to me. She has been with us for 20 years. Let her stay. Michael turned to the maid. Go, he said again. Abada slowly walked toward the back gate, tears falling on the ground. She turned once more. Mama Clara, I will find a way to help you, she whispered. Then she stepped out of the gate, and it closed behind her with a heavy sound. Michael turned back to his mother. You thought father's foolish will could shame us, he said bitterly. You supported him when he gave all the wealth to orphans. Now you will suffer for it. Clara shook her head. tears running down her face. "Michael, your father wanted to help the poor. That was his wish. Do not let greed destroy you." Michael's face grew darker. "Greed? He robbed us of what belongs to us, and you let him. From now on you will live like the poor you love so much." He grabbed her arm and led her down the long hallway to a small unused room at the far end of the house. "Michael, stop this madness," Clara cried. "I am your mother." But Michael opened the door, pushed her inside and locked it from the outside. "You will stay here," he said through the door. "You will suffer until you agree to help us get father's money back. If you die here, so be it." His footsteps echoed away down the corridor. Inside the small room, Clara sank to the floor. The room was bare except for an old chair and a narrow bed. Clara pressed her palms together and whispered through her tears, "Lord, give me strength. Protect my children from their own hearts. And keep Abada safe, wherever she is." Outside the gate, Abada stood, shaking with fear and sorrow. She wiped her tears and looked back at the tall mansion. She knew Mama Clara was in danger. She also knew she could not stay away for long. Abada whispered to herself, "I will not abandon her. Somehow I will return." 2 days later, Abada came back to the mansion. The sun was just rising and the streets were quiet. She walked quickly, her heart full of worry for Madame Clara. When she reached the big gate, she stopped in surprise. A new security man stood there, someone she had never seen before. "Good morning," Abada said. "I am here to see Madame Clara." The man shook his head. "Madame does not live here anymore." Abada's heart skipped. "What do you mean?" "This is her home." "The house was sold," the guard replied. "Her son came and took her away 2 days ago." "That is all I know." Abada stepped closer. "Please, do you know where he took her? Which house? Which address?" The guard sighed. "I am new here. I don't know anything more. The family left, and the house now belongs to someone else." Abada felt a heavy pain in her chest. She took out her phone and dialed Mama Clara's number. The call rang once and then cut off. She tried again and again. Each time the same message came, "Number not reachable." Abada stood by the gate, her eyes wet. She lifted her face to the sky and whispered a prayer. "Lord, please protect Mama Clara. I don't know where they have taken her. I can't reach her. Please keep her safe. Do not let harm come to her." Meanwhile, in Michael's house, Madame Clara was still locked in an empty room. The walls were bare. There was only a small wooden chair and a thin mat on the floor. She had been there for days with little food and only a small bottle of water. Michael came to the door and opened it. He looked at his mother and said, "Until you tell the lawyer to change father's will, you will stay here. Tell him to give the money and the houses to us." Clara shook her head. "My son, that is impossible. I have no power to change the will. Your father made his choice and signed it. I cannot undo it." Michael frowned. "Then you must suffer." "Please, Michael," she begged. "I am your mother. Do not treat me like this. Your father wanted to help the poor. Do not bring shame on yourself." Michael turned away without answering and locked the door again. As he walked back to the sitting room, his wife met him in the corridor. "That woman is a witch," she said with a hard voice. "She should not even be alive. She never meant well for this family. How can she be so heartless, giving everything to orphans and leaving you with nothing?" Michael's eyes were dark with anger. "Don't worry. By the time Deborah and I finish with her, she will regret ever giving birth to us." His wife nodded. "Good. She must learn her lesson," Michael said. "She will suffer until she agrees to help us. If she refuses, we will still find a way to take what belongs to us." Behind the locked door, Madame Clara sat on the cold floor. She lifted her face and whispered a prayer. "Lord, give me strength. Protect me from the evil in the hearts of my children. Forgive them, for they do not understand what they are doing." Hours later, Michael's phone rang. It was Deborah. Her voice was low and urgent. "Brother," she said, "I just bought some pills. If we give them to Mother, she will sleep and never wake up." Michael felt a shock, but stayed quiet. "Are you sure it will work?" he asked. "Yes," Deborah replied. "I'm driving to your house now. That woman is of no use to us. Let her go and meet her stingy husband." The call ended. Not long after, Michael's phone rang again, this time from an unknown number. A man's voice spoke quickly. "Are you the brother of Deborah Williams?" "Yes," Michael answered, uneasy. "There has been a road accident. Your sister's car lost control on the highway. I'm sorry. She did not survive." Michael froze. The phone almost slipped from his hand. "No. No," he shouted. He went straight to the small locked room where his mother sat. He flung the door open. "You witch," Michael shouted. "You have unalived my only sister." Clara looked up, shocked. "Michael, what are you saying? I have not left this room." "You did it with your evil prayers," Michael screamed. "You took my sister from me, just like you helped Father give away everything. You will suffer for this." He grabbed a cane that leaned against the wall and struck her again and again. Clara cried out, "My son, stop." "I am your mother. I have done nothing." But Michael kept shouting, "Witch, you will suffer until you confess. Now." Clara's tears ran down her cheeks. She raised her eyes to heaven and whispered through the pain, "Lord, protect my children from their own hatred. Forgive them, even now." Minutes later, Michael's wife opened the door of the small room and stepped inside. Her face was hard and her voice sharp. "You witch," she said to Clara, "confess now. You see what you have caused. Deborah is gone. Better start talking now." Clara raised her tired eyes. Her lips were dry from many days without food. "My daughter," she said weakly, "please, I beg you. Give me a little food. I have not eaten for 4 days. Please do not let me die like this." Michael's wife folded her arms. "That is exactly what we want. Go and meet your stingy, ugly husband. You have not seen anything yet, wicked old woman. Thank God I never liked you from the first day I entered this house." Tears rolled down Clara's thin face. "My God will judge all of you," she whispered. "Just wait and see." Michael's wife gave a cold laugh. "Judge us? Where is this God of yours all this while? He does not exist. Old woman, your God has left you. You will starve until you meet your husband in hell." Clara closed her eyes and prayed softly, "Lord, you see me. You know my pain. You know the hearts of my children. Protect me." But Michael's wife only laughed again. "Pray all you want. Nobody will hear you. Soon you will be gone, and we will finally have peace." She turned and walked out, slamming the door. The sound of the lock echoed through the empty hallway. Clara remained on the cold floor. Her body was weak, her head light. Hunger burned inside her like fire, yet her heart clung to hope. "My God," she whispered, "I will not stop trusting you. Even if people laugh, you are still God. You will save me in your time." Her voice trembled, but her faith held firm as the house around her sank into cruel silence. Abada could not bear the pain in her heart any longer. For days she had not slept well. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Mama Clara's face, thin, tired and hungry. That night she dreamed of her late boss, Mr. Emmanuel. In the dream, he looked at her with sad eyes and said, "Go and save my wife." When she woke up, her heart was beating fast. She knew she could not keep silent. Early the next morning, Abada went straight to the nearest police station. Her clothes were simple and dusty. She had walked a long distance. She stepped to the counter where a police officer was on duty. "Good morning, sir," Abada said, her voice shaking. "Please, I need help. Michael Williams is holding his mother, Madame Clara, captive in his house. She is locked up and starving. Please, you must come quickly." The policeman looked at her and gave a short laugh. "You are very funny," he said. "A man's mother is staying in his house and you are complaining. Is she supposed to stay in your house?" Abada shook her head. "No, sir. Please listen. He has locked her in a room. She has not eaten for days. I think he has kidnapped his own mother. Please, she needs help." The policeman's face hardened. "Do you have evidence? Did you see him harm her?" I saw him force her inside and lock the door," Abada said. "I heard him threaten her. Sir, please believe me." The policeman waved his hand. "Go away, you dirty woman. You have no proof. Leave here right now." Abada's heart broke. Tears filled her eyes as she stepped outside the station. The hot sun beat down on her, but she felt cold inside. She had come for help, and they had mocked her. She sat on a low wall outside the station, thinking. Then she remembered the lawyer who had read Mr. Emmanuel's will. "Yes," she whispered, "the lawyer. He will listen. Abada stood and hurried toward the lawyer's office. Her legs ached, but she did not stop. When she arrived, she told the secretary she must see the lawyer at once. The secretary saw the fear in her eyes and quickly let her in. The lawyer, Mr. Aid, looked up from his desk. "Abada, what brings you here?" She began to speak, her voice trembling. "Sir, I am sorry to disturb you. But Madame Clara is in danger. Michael has locked her in a room in his house. She has not eaten for days. He wants her to change the will. He is hurting her. Please, sir, help her." The lawyer's eyes widened. "Why didn't you come to me earlier?" Abada lowered her head. "I am sorry, sir. I wanted to mind my business. I thought it was a family matter. But last night I saw my late master in my dreams. He said to me, 'Go and save my wife.' I could not stay silent." Mr. Aid stood quickly. His face was firm with anger. "You did the right thing to come now," he said. "This is serious." He picked up his phone and called the police chief directly. Within minutes, 2 police officers arrived at the lawyer's office. Mr. Aid explained everything. The officers listened carefully, their faces grave. They agreed to go with him to Michael's house. When they reached the gate, a new security man stepped forward. "Good afternoon," Mr. Aid said. "We need to see Michael Williams. This is urgent." The guard shook his head. Sir Michael gave strict orders. No one is allowed inside without his permission. The lawyer showed his identity card. "I am the family lawyer. This is police business." The guard frowned. "I was told not to let anyone in. Even if you are the lawyer, I cannot open this gate." One of the policemen stepped forward. "Open the gate." "We need to speak with him." The guard tightened his grip on the gate's chain. "I am sorry. My master told me not to open for anyone. If you have a problem, call him yourself." The air grew tense. Abada's heart raced. She could almost hear Mama Clara crying somewhere beyond the high walls. The policemen exchanged serious looks. The lawyer's voice hardened. "If you will not open," Mr. Aid said, "we will break this gate or get a court order. A woman's life may be in danger." The guard hesitated, but still refused. The heat of the afternoon seemed to press on everyone. Abada clenched her hands and prayed silently, "Lord, please, let them reach Mama in time. Do not let evil win." The policeman looked at the locked gate and then turned to the lawyer. "Sir," one of them said, "we need a court warrant before we can break in. Without it, they can accuse us of trespassing." Mr. Aid's face tightened. "If we all leave, Michael may move his mother before we return. One officer should go for the warrant. The rest of us will stay here and watch the gate. We cannot risk losing her." The senior officer nodded. "Good idea." He sent one policeman back to the station to get the warrant. The others stayed with Mr. Aid and Abada, their eyes fixed on the tall gate. Time passed slowly. The sun burned down. Abada prayed silently again and again, asking God to keep Madame Clara alive until help could reach her. At last the policeman returned with the court warrant. He raised it in the air. "We have the order." The senior officer stepped forward. "Open the gate," he commanded. The guard hesitated, then slowly unlocked it. The policeman, Mr. Aid, and Abada rushed into the compound. They moved quickly through the house and found the small locked room. When the door was opened, Madame Clara sat weak and pale on the floor. Her eyes widened in shock at the sight of Abada and the police. "Abada, you came," she whispered. Abada knelt beside her and held her hand. "Mama, you are safe now." The policeman helped Clara to her feet and guided her outside. Michael and his wife were arrested on the spot. At the station they were questioned for many hours. At first they denied everything, but under strong questioning, the truth finally came out. Michael confessed, his voice shaking. "Yes, we poisoned my father," he said. "He refused to die and give us the inheritance. My wife said we must act. We put poison in his drink." The officers stared at him in disbelief. Michael continued, "It was also her idea to spoil the brakes of Deborah's car. We wanted her gone so that the money from selling the mansion would belong only to us." His wife lowered her head and said nothing. The confession shocked everyone. When the case went to court, the evidence was clear. The judge spoke firmly. "You have shown no respect for life. You took the life of your own sister and father and tried to take the life of your mother for the love of money. This court sentences you both to 100 years in prison. The courtroom was silent. Michael and his wife were led away in handcuffs. They would spend the rest of their lives behind bars. Outside the court, Madame Clara held Abada's hand. "My child," she said softly, "God used you to save me." "May he bless you forever," Abada smiled through her tears. "All glory belongs to God, Mama. He heard our prayers and brought the truth to light." Madame Clara looked up to the sky and whispered, "Lord, thank you for justice. Thank you for sending help when I had no one." And for the first time since her husband's death, she felt the weight on her heart begin to lift. Weeks later, when the noise of the court case had finally settled, Madame Clara began to rebuild her life. The pain of losing her husband and her daughter would never fully leave her, but she chose to live with gratitude rather than bitterness. One bright morning, she asked Abada to sit with her in the same garden where the sad story had begun. The flowers were in bloom, and the air was fresh after a light rain. "My child," Madame Clara said gently, "I have been thinking about everything you have done for me. When even my own children turned against me, you refused to walk away. You risked your life to save mine. I can never repay you." Abada lowered her head. "Mama, I only did what was right. I could not leave you when you were in danger. I do not need any reward." Clara smiled and touched her hand. "That is why you deserve it even more. Your heart is pure. Emmanuel and I always wanted to build something that would bless people. Now I will continue that dream with you." The next week, Clara invited the family lawyer and signed new papers. She transferred one of the family's smaller houses, a comfortable, well-furnished home in a quiet part of the city, into Abada's name. She also gave her a generous sum of money to start any business she wished and promised to support her studies if she wanted to return to school. Abada's eyes filled with tears. "Mama, this is too much. I never expected anything." Clara held her close. "This is not payment. It is my way of saying thank you. You showed me what true family means. Blood is not only by birth, it is by love." Abada stayed with Mama Clara till her last day. They shared meals, prayed together, and worked side by side to support the orphanage Emmanuel had loved. Many people in the city spoke about their story. They learned that kindness can come from unexpected places and that love is stronger than greed. Madame Clara often said, "When my own children chose darkness, God sent me a daughter in Abada." True family is not just who gives you life, it is who stands with you when life is hardest. Dear viewers, what lesson did you learn from this story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also, turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first to know whenever we upload new videos. Thank you for watching and stay blessed.